Hello again, Calvin Jones here, Park Tool Company. We are going to review in this video a few more basic tools, primarily the hacksaw and some related items. First, let's discuss a vise, a good heavy-duty vise, nice basis for any shop, mounted to a heavy-duty workbench. Two excellent items to have. Placement is very important on a vise. Just using as a straight edge here a headset wrench. This vise is correctly mounted in this direction. We can clamp something long and sit below the table. However, if you notice, if we were to rotate this vise 90 degrees, we would not be sitting over the edge. So this vise was not properly mounted. It should have been closer to this edge here. So that we can have the fixed edge of our vise just over the edge of the table in both corners here. So that's a vise. We're going to look at cutting some forks and the use of hacksaws. Hacksaw, good important feature about hacksaw is a nice strong frame, very strong backbone. For example, the SAW1, blade goes in so the teeth are pointing forward. We cut on the forward stroke only. We don't pull back, it's cutting on the forward stroke so the teeth are pointing forward. Two things about the blade are important. The tension. Blades need to be tight, and if the blade is not tight, it's going to snake through the material and not leave a straight cut. So we want a nice tight blade. We also want a good quality blade. This one's getting very marginal. If you can feel the end where the teeth are unused, and then this is obviously getting different in the middle, this would be a marginal blade. If it feels very different in the middle than the end, it's time for a new blade. Blades come, of course, 24, 32, 24 TPI, 32 TPI. So 32 is a good one for certain uses. 24 is a general purpose steel and aluminum blade. So we're going to be using this one here. It's a newer blade. It's in tight, ready to cut. We're going to cut a steel steering column. We're going to use a saw guide just as a general tip on tool service. Check once in a while that these bolts are tight here to keep everything square. We will mount a fork and make a cut here. Okay. So let's assume we've measured some distance that we're cutting. On our headset, we've looked at our stack height, and we've set that distance. We're now ready to proceed. And again here, we like to move forward in the cutting. We drag back gently. So technique here is quite important. Again, we're snug. So speed is actually good here. It's a light push, but a quick push. So it's push, lightly back, and done quickly. Don't attempt to force it through like a butcher's knife. You're not cutting a big piece of meat off a bone here. It's a hacksaw. It's using the teeth to cut through. You can hear the resonance change in the material as we approach the end. And off it comes. This fork actually would not be finished. Very, very sharp corners. Filing, that's going to be a little bit different story. So we'll save that for later. Besides aluminum and steel, we may need to cut carbon. The traditional blades will cut carbon. Same type of technique, light strokes. back and forth, pressure on the forward cut, working your way through. It's a bit like sawing wood. The last few strokes at the end is where you want to lighten up, not to splinter the material. Another option is a so-called carbon blade, or ceramic blade is another term for it, or diamond grit. That's what this is. This is basically a manual grinder. This blade can be used on, well, actually ceramics. It can be used on carbon. It could be used on steel, very hard steel even. This type of blade would be ruined, however, by an aluminum steering column. Aluminum will fill this, the pores in this blade, and ruin your grinder and ruin this type of saw blade. So the process is the same here, but it's a wider saw guide to fit the fat material on this blade. One thing that's a good little trick here. On this one, we just go back and forth. There are no shaped teeth. It is, again, grinding. And if we smell, if you were here with us, you would be smelling something kind of funny. That's the carbon particulate that's in the air. So we can take a little water. I'm going to shoot a little foaming glass cleaner, a little cleaner in here. That's really not to lubricate. It's simply to wet it. You could use water, almost anything, to keep the particulate down. So that helps simply makes a healthier work environment, keeping the very small dust particles down.